Hello, I'm here with Mr. Sola Adepetun, the senior partner at ACAS Law. It's good to have you here with us.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
I'd like us to talk about Africa and the competitive space, being that we are, still in a low price environment. I mean, much higher than it was, I guess, last year. But it's still a low price environment. We're still trying to thrive in this environment, and at the same time, we're looking to attract investors and operators who are also looking to other markets. So, where does Africa stand? How competitive is Africa at the moment?
Africa is not at the top of anybody's list in terms of investment targets. But the thing about Africa, and this is one thing that people just can't run away from, is that it has so much potential for growth that investors always, you cannot wish Africa away. You cannot ignore it completely because there's just so much to be done in Africa. Now, what is militating against investments and the attracting investments today? Infrastructure, government, leadership. Now, the more we continue to talk about these things and the more we don't do anything about it, the more time is going. Now, investments and capital is never static. It's always moving and always moving to jurisdictions where, that can actually utilize the investments and where people can get returns on their investments. So many things in Africa just militate against that. So we need to get that right. We need to get leadership right in Africa.
I was speaking to an operator earlier, and he was telling me that even in spite of the challenges, that we have here from, transparency issues, regulatory issues, all sorts of things, that, operators are really still not put off by Africa as a whole, perhaps specifically Nigeria, because we have, the reserves that are there. We are rich, after all, Do you agree with that? Do you think that in a way, because of the fact that we know that operators will always come in, that we don't really do much to solve the many challenges that exist in the sector?
Absolutely. I think that, we are so well endowed with all sorts of resources that we are spoilt. We've become spoilt because we know people will always come. Now, apart from the resources, we have a huge market, 180 million people. You can't sniff at that. So, whilst we remain a frontier region in terms of the fact that it's more difficult to be able to make reasonable returns from investments in Africa, but it is just so much, there's just so much to be done and so much to be had and gained that people can't help but stay there. And not many people are leaving in terms of, at least in the oil and gas sector, especially the people who are producing at the moment. You're not likely to see Shell shutting down or Mobil shutting down. There's a lot more than what is there already.
So then, why would the government then change things? I guess that's the question. When they know that regardless, the investment flows will still come. We will still have, we've been talking about these issues of corruption, lack of infrastructure, regulatory issues for a very long time. And we're still talking about them. And, it seems like we're likely still going to be talking about them even in the future. Will things ever really change?
They're bound to change. For as long as we continue to produce oil, for as long as that commodity remains an internationally traded commodity, we would always have government just relying on it. Now, if there's no diversification, and with the disruptive technology that we hear about that's coming in, electricity, or solar-powered cars and all that, then maybe that will drive the change. And that will drive a change in government's thinking as well. I mean, because right now we just have it and everybody wants oil. But what if that changes? How ready is our African government for that change? Because we're all looking at just that oil, and it's going to change. So we have to be ready for the change.
Let's leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.